Hey, boys and girls. It's good seeing some of you on Zoom. I'm missing some of you, though. Okay, I'm going to read chapter 6 of The Quest of Quentin. I hope you're enjoying this book. We only have one more chapter after chapter 6. All right, so the title of this chapter is Returned to Safety. If you remember from yesterday's, I'm trying to remember myself because I've had so much on my mind. Let's see. Oh, yeah, they have captured Quentin. Do you remember that? Whoever it was has captured Quentin. And he said he's get ready to fill the slave driver's whip. Told Quentin that. So he returned his horse and headed for the mountains. So they've got Quentin. All right, so the title of this is Returned to Safety. I hope that means Quentin. Don't you? All right. Quentin guessed that the dark commander was taking him to the rock quarries. These quarries were the subject of horror tales that Quentin had often heard. People who were forced to labor in these quarries were said to meet a merciless and brutal death. Quentin felt the darkest day of his life growing only worse. But as they bounced roughly on the ride, he caught the sound of a fast-charging horse behind them. Maybe he's going to be rescued. When the commander turned to look back, so did Quentin. A white charger was almost upon them. Its rider raised a sword that radiated light. The commander cursed, then turned and leaned pressingly over Quentin's shoulder, ready to spur his horse into a gallop. Then suddenly gripped Quentin's collar and flung him from the saddle. As he hit the ground, Quentin felt his head strike hard before he sank into unconsciousness. Ugh. When he finally awoke, Quentin saw the hermit shepherd leaning over him. "Are you all right, lad?" Quentin sat up, his head pulsing with pain. He was indoors somewhere, lying on a pile of fur pelts on the floor. He tried to remember what had happened. He looked anxiously at the old shepherd. "Where's the golden scroll? Is it safe?" "Settle down, lad. I have it." Quentin rubbed his aching head. "That man on the white charger, was it you?" The shepherd only smiled. "Quite a blow to your head. I wouldn't make a habit of falling off horses if I were you." "So I bet it was, don't you?" In his mental confusion, Quentin's questions tumbled out. "Why did they call you a light bearer? How did your sword beam with light like that? And how did you find me? And where am I?" "Slow down," the old man said. "I can answer your questions in good time. For now, all you need to know is that you're back in my house and safe from any enemies." He stepped away to check a kettle of broth bubbling in the fireplace across the room. Remembering, Quentin felt remorse for how he'd behaved in his 2 prior visits to this house, running out on his host the first time and robbing him the second time. After such wrong, why had the hermit shepherd gone to great lengths to save him from the enemy? They needed to talk. Every time I read hermit, I want to say hermit crab instead of hermit shepherd. Oh, Lord, okay. Calling across the room, Quentin started with what seemed the most important question. "That chain I saw, my last time here, is there any way to get rid of it?" The old man was sprinkling spices into his pot of broth. He spoke slowly but firmly. "There is no freedom from your chain unless you let the light deal with you." "What do you mean?" "The light has already exposed my chain. Isn't that enough?" The old man straightened while brushing spice powder off his hands. He stepped forward toward Quentin, then sat on a stool next to him. "The light doesn't expose what's wrong. It wants to replace what's wrong." Oh. Quentin could only ponder that statement. "When you're well again," the old shepherd continued, "I'll show you how. That is, if you'll stick around for the entire for the end of the story, he gave Quentin a wink. Quentin suddenly felt overwhelmed by this man's kindness. This time he promised, "I won't run away." All right, that was a short chapter, but we'll find out what happens at the end tomorrow. Tune in.